What is up, YouTube family? Welcome back to Quintessential Sports, where we're talking about everything essential to your favorite sports, your favorite players, your favorite topics. And today's topic is the Colorado Buffaloes. Now, let's get right into it because the hot topic this week was that embarrassing, ridiculous, oh my God, horrendous, horrific. There's not enough adjectives to describe what the hell happened to Colorado last Friday. Now, I had to get this in this week. You know, it's been a lot going on in the real world, but I had to get this one in for y'all because this Colorado Buffalo game and the whole dynamic of everything that's been revolving around the team and the college itself is pretty amazing. It's got everybody talking. Of course, Colorado is the hot topic of the college football year this year. Coach Prime came in from Jackson State, and unless you've been living under a rock, you should know the whole dynamic of what's been going on. Now, to touch on it just briefly, first of all, let me just say, I am not a Colorado Buffalo hater. I'm not a Deion hater. I am actually a fan. Deion is my favorite athlete of all time. I was a Florida State fan as a youngster because of Deion. He made me, everywhere he went except Dallas. I ain't fuck with Deion when he went to Dallas. Nah, fuck, hell no. Hell no. Never that. You know what I'm saying? Never that. But Deion is the GOAT. He's the greatest cornerback of all time. And he's considered possibly the greatest athlete of all time. A lot of people say Bo Jackson, but Bo Jackson got hurt and couldn't reach his maximum potential or fulfill his full career. So I have, majority of the people have Deion there. Now, Deion, when he first came in, he was implementing his style. He was putting his stamp on the team. He's got his swagger with it, his confidence with it. His some people call it arrogance. He's got a little bit of flash. He wears his Christian beliefs on his sleeve, and everything was fine. We know what comes with. Everybody should know what comes with Deion when it comes to how he does everything, whether it was his show, him being on NFL Network, him as a player, and now him as a coach, right? This is nothing new. But the dynamic that I want to discuss that a lot of people aren't talking about is in the beginning, when he first came in, he was doing everything the correct way. When you're dealing with haters and you're entering a minefield of untouched territory, right? And you have these people that have put these mines out here for you to step in. You have to walk very carefully, right? And what Deion was doing was he was doing it correctly. He was maneuvering through the minefield perfectly because he was fighting off the haters, being able to play victim and fight off the haters. What do I mean by that? So when you have haters, right? In this magnitude of space that they're in, this Division I football thing where we know are ran by the powers that be, right? The good old boy network, right? We know they don't want you doing what you're trying to do. You're trying to disrupt the whole system of what they got going on, right? So it's like a minefield. They're waiting for you to fall into these traps and step on these minefields and blow up, basically, right? Not in a good way, in a bad way, right? They want you to fail. And this is what Deion was seeing. He was catching all the backlash, the media, the coaches were talking, everybody was saying things. Now, they were going about it the right way because he's the one who puts himself on Front Street and takes the brunt of the blows, right? And he protects his players. And the players are supposed to remain quiet, let Dion do his thing, because see, Dion has the clout and the fame and the reputation to handle these people. He's got that mouthpiece. He's got the confidence. He's got the swag. He can step out there and speak for y'all. Y'all don't have to say nothing, and y'all shouldn't say anything because they're setting traps for you to do so. They're setting you up to fail, but they were doing the right thing. They were remaining humble. They were staying quiet because they didn't even know how good they would be. They could say it, but until you actually get on the field and actually beat some teams and actually show that you can compete, right? You don't know it yet. You don't. It's not proven yet. You could feel it in your body and know it in your mind, but until you actually go out there and prove it, it's not in stone yet, right? So they were remaining humble. They were remaining quiet. They were using the haters to fuel their fire. And what did they do? They came out and they beat TCU and they shocked the world and they shut everybody the fuck up. And this is the formula for how they were supposed to maneuver this year. Because see, you got to remember, they need to remember that this first year, it's your first year. Anything you do positive is to be celebrated by us, by the supporters, right? And y'all have the ability to just sit back and just work hard and be humble and just get shit done and just do the best you can and achieve as much as you can, even in a build year. This is a build year right now. They don't have all their pieces yet, right? So you can ride that underdog wave and just upset people all the way through the schedule. All you got to do is just stay quiet, stay humble, and let Dion be your mouthpiece. Let Dion be that swag. Let Dion be that one that can speak for y'all and talk shit for y'all. But as soon as y'all start running your mouth, as soon as the players start showboating and running their mouths, now it's all hell will break loose. It's open season. It's open season. The media is going to have a frenzy. The haters are going to have a frenzy, right, on you. So I'm watching this from day one. And the way it started, I was totally cool with how it was going. When Dion beat TCU and he came in there and he reprimanded all the media and said, I got receipts on all y'all. I got receipts on all y'all. What did they do? They shut the fuck up. They shut the fuck up and they backed the fuck up because they look stupid. They look real stupid because you were naysaying and hating on a bunch of young men who didn't warrant this. They didn't do anything for y'all to jump on them like that. And when they came out there and they show and prove to y'all that they belong and that they were good enough to compete and that they could beat somebody credible, they shut the whole industry up. All the naysayers, all the haters. And then they got all the support. They got even more support, right? Now, at that point, I'm not saying Dion didn't do this, but because I'm sure he did, but I still think he should have emphasized the fact that you still have to be quiet. Like, I know that the win was big, but you have to keep the arrogance and the flash at bay. You cannot let these guys start thinking that they are better than what they really are, or start filling their heads up that they are that they've made it, that they've achieved something, because you haven't achieved anything. Even if you upset some teams, you haven't achieved anything until later on down the line, right? So what happens? They go to Colorado State, and the first thing I see is Travis Hunter, their superstar, their two-way player. He starts feeding into the frenzy of the trash talk. Colorado State was trash talking him before the game, and I see him barking back at them, and he's running all over the field, and he's yelling this, and that. I seen Shedeur getting into it with him a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh, no, this is not what you want. You do not want to feed into the foolishness, because then you're going to look foolish. You're going to look like the fool. When they say don't argue with fools because people from a distance can't tell who is who. So when I saw that, that was the first red flag for me. And then what happened? Immediately, you see Travis Hunter become a target on defense. They were targeting that man. And I'm here to tell you, if you just stay totally humble, totally quiet, there's a difference. When you antagonize or you feed into the antagonization, there's an extra element of head hunting that goes on. There's an extra emotion that comes with that when you trash talk. But if you're the type of person that just remains quiet and just doesn't say anything and just lets your play on the field do the talking, there won't be as much of a spotlight on you. There is a difference. Some people will say, no, they still would have been targeting him. Trust me. When they find out that you're a humble kid, which Travis Hunter is, we saw with the act that he did with the guy that took the cheap shot on him. He's a good kid. All these kids are good kids, right? But when they see you extra humble, they will like you. And when they like you, they will hit you less, harder. I know people will say that's crazy, but no, it is true. It is very true. I've experienced it. I haven't played at this level, but I have experienced it. I have won people. Oh, I have killed people with kindness many times before, in games, in practice, before the game, after game. I've done it all the time. I never fed into the trash talk. I always just let my play do the talking. And it would even cause people to just check me one-on-one. But if I would talk trash, they would double team you. See, it's something that simple right there. If you just remain humble, they will fall asleep, and they will only single cover you. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it does happen. But when you feed into the fire, they're definitely coming at you twice as hard, 3 times as hard. And you saw they were headhunting him, and they did. And they hurt him, and they took him out the game, and he missed 3 crucial games. 3 crucial games. If they could have won one, you saw they almost beat USC. They almost beat USC. If they would have beat USC, man. But at the same time, maybe it might have not been a good thing, because what happened? We moved further down the season, and they win a couple games, and then you see them go and play Oregon. Now, by this time, Shedeur is really starting to feel himself. He's really, now, the other red flag that I saw that really bothered me was the coach that was naysaying Prime. You know, when they met at the middle of the field, the Colorado State coach, and they shook hands and everything, you saw Shedeur in grown folks' business. You saw him trying to show up a grown-ass man. And it's like, dude, step back. We understand what the situation is, but these are 2 men right here. You're a child. Stay in a child's place. You're still a kid. You're a young man. You're not ready to be in, in the face of another man. I know what he said. I know the whole situation, but still, I looked at that and I was like, Dion, you got to put your son, like, yo, tell him, step back, son. Like, son, I got you. But this is grown folk business right here. You don't be arguing with no grown ass man. You don't be showboating in front of another grown ass man face like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want him speaking on you, and I don't want you disrespecting him. You know what I'm saying? And that was the second red flag that I saw. And then you saw the next thing was Shador doing the Rolly flash. He was flashing the watch. And then boom, I was like, man, this is not good. This is starting to get out of control a little bit. This is going off of the tracks from how you need to be maneuvering through this minefield, because you're giving the haters ammo. You're giving them the fuel that they want, that they need to say, I told you so when things fall apart. See, they should have known that the season wasn't going to be all peaches and cream. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they thought they would run the table. Maybe they thought that they would just be so dominating all the way through, right? But this is where the ego and the arrogance kicks in. You know, when Shador starts flashing the watch, he has to understand all of these players are getting paid now. Each team has a superstar that can buy a rollie too. Now, I know Shador got more money than all these dudes, right? Because he got the fat contract, and his dad is the GOAT. His dad is fucking rich. So, of course, he got more money than everybody else. But you ain't the only one with a rollie now. All these dudes got superstars on their teams that can flash rollies. And what did you see? As soon as you got whipped by Oregon, their star player flashes his rollie right back in your face. You see how that works? See, if you had never done that, then he couldn't have did that. See, they lost control. They lost control of the arrogance and the ego, and now they were creating a bigger monster than what it should have been. They had the media right where they wanted them. All you had to do was keep coming out saying the same thing that Dion said in the offseason, which was, we're a young team. This is our first year together. We are just trying to be as good as we could possibly be. We're just working hard, and we're just coming out and balling. But when you start flashing and you start showboating and you start showing bits of arrogance, they are going to have a feeding frenzy on you, and the karma is going to come back very fast. Now, when things fall apart, now you got mud on your face. Now you have to start agreeing with the haters. What did Dion just say? Before I get to that, let's keep moving forward with this season, right? Now, they won a couple of games, and it looks like they were probably feeling themselves a little bit too much once again, because they come out against Stanford, and what did they do? They go up 29-0, and then at halftime, you see Shador's account promoting his merchandise at halftime while they're up 29-0. Now, people say, oh, well, that wasn't his account. That was the people in charge of his account. It don't matter. It don't fucking matter. Because it looks terrible. It looks bad. It looks real bad. It looks arrogant. It looks like you went into the locker room and said, yo, we up 29-0. We killing these fools. Go ahead and advertise my merchandise because the game is over. The game might as well be over, so I might as well do this at halftime. It's never been done before. It's marketing genius, actually. It's an amazing way to showboat. We've never seen nobody showboat like that, where they could just be killing you so bad at halftime that you can just start do a commercial, do some advertisement at halftime. Now that's some showboating for your ass. That's pretty monumental when it comes to showboating. I don't think we've seen that in the history of showboating, actually. And then look what happened. Once again, Shador, it backfires on them tremendously, because they blow a 29-point lead, and he throws. He didn't have a bad game. He actually had a really good game. But how it ended is how everybody's going to remember it. They're going to remember the halftime arrogance of promoting your merchandise. Whether it was you or your team, you're still responsible for it. And they're going to remember that interception that you threw at the end that you didn't have to throw. You could have just held on to it, threw it out of bounds, threw it at the ground, did something except throw a pick, because now you don't get the field goal. And then the other team comes out, kicks the field goal, boom, you lose. So I think these guys really lost control of what they needed to do to stay on the right side of the where the media was trying to portray them as, right? Now look what's happening. All the people that called them whatever name they called them, they are all able to come back and say, see, I told you so. Look at them. Look at how the arrogance caught up with them. Look at how the flash caught up with them. Look at how the showboating caught up with them. If you didn't have any of those things, they wouldn't be able to use those things. This is what I'm talking about. Now, I don't know if Dion lost control of it, or if he just couldn't keep it in the bar, if he couldn't keep it all in the stable, because the social media climate, these youngsters nowadays, they can't help themselves. They have to show off. They have to flash. They just cannot wait. You haven't proved anything. They haven't done anything yet. So for them to be acting like this was disturbing for me, and I had a feeling that something like this might happen. Now, what did Dion come out and say? Man, I know it. First of all, it hurt him. He told you how much it hurt him to lose 29-0, because he had everybody where he wanted them. He had everybody kissing his feet, backtracking. All the naysayers, all the haters, he had them where he wanted them. And he knew when they blew that 29-point lead that he was going to have to face the fire of all those naysayers. Y'all put him in the players put him in such a bad situation when they did that. They gave them everything they wanted. All the hate, you just gave the haters a buffet platter. And what did Dion tell them? What did Dion say? He said, don't go back and forth arguing with them on social media, feeding into the foolishness, because guess what? They're right. They're right. Everything that they said about you, now they're right. Do you know how hard it is for him to have to agree with the haters now? It's genius, actually, the way that he spent it, but it still hurt, because that is not the route that he wanted to take. He did not foresee him having to one day agree with the haters, because his team lost control with their lack of discipline, their arrogance, and their flash. And ultimately, it still falls back on Dion, because he's the one that allowed it. Damn. And you know, it's a real bad look right now. It really puts a black eye on such an amazing experience we were having with this team, right? And it's not over. This is still just the beginning. This is, like I said, this is not even their full team. Next year they're gonna be even more powerful, and the year after that. But it really dampens the mood of this season. You know, the people that showed up for that game, the celebrities, the people that flew out to that game, imagine how they felt when they had to fly out of Colorado after that 29 point, you know, the 29 points that they gave up. After blowing a 29-point lead, do you know how people feel when they spend their money and they fly private jets or they catch first class flights or whatever and they come out? I know they got the money, but I'm just saying, when they take the time out of their schedule to come and support you and then you let them down like this. Now, how are they going to come back? I guarantee you, some of those people will not come back. I guarantee you, there will not be as many people coming back the next week. There will be some loyal people. Of course, there are going to be some loyal people because it's not over. But you had the hype train moving in the direction you wanted it. You had everything in your control. And that game right there was crucial. That was a 1-4 Stanford team, I believe. And now that game, when you look at the rest of the schedule, that game could possibly cost them bowl eligibility. It's going to be a sad, sad sight if they miss bowl eligibility by one game or even two games, because you're going to look at that game right there and say, that is what started everything. That is the one that really hurt them. You cannot lose that game right there. I don't care. The receiver that they had, this dude was phenomenal. It was amazing the show that he put on. But you cannot lose that game. I know Travis Hunter was playing over 100 snaps fresh off an injury. But these boys, they young boys, they could run all day. You got to do something. You have to win that game by any means necessary. You cannot lose that game because now you've lost everything. You've lost all the showboat. No, now, I mean, this is what they needed. Obviously, this is what they needed. They need to be slapped in the face. They needed that wake-up call, and now they got to go back to the drawing board and they got to regroup. So obviously, this is what they needed. It's just sad that it had to come to this, you know. But we'll see how the rest of the season goes. You know, of course, we still pulling for them. You know, definitely want to see Colorado do their thing against these Division I guys, especially the big wigs of the college football world, you know. And we'll see how the rest of the season goes. They have a tough schedule. They got to play at UCLA this coming up week. Only thing you can do now is just go out there and upset these teams. You know, they got Oregon State at home. They're playing good. They got Arizona at home after that. You got to win both of those games. And then they go on the road against Washington State and they go on the road against Utah. That's a tough road right there. That's a tough road, but you got to go out there and show and prove once again. You got to build this thing back up once again when you already had it built. All you had to do was just execute it the proper way and not be too arrogant. Stay humble until you actually achieve something and reach ultimate success. So that's all I got for y'all this week. Next week, we're going to see what they're going to do. I'll come back and we're going to talk about a little bit more about Colorado. We're going to talk about these HBCUs because I just saw a disturbing report. I got to go and do some research on it because if the numbers that I saw were true, I got some shit to talk to y'all about this HBCU shit because y'all just forgot all about the HBCUs and we're going to talk about it. So until next time, meanwhile, if you want to take control of your life, check out some of the links down below. And until next time, I holler at y'all. 100.